April 6, 2023. The day I braved the outside world and all of its horrors, joined by unlikely individuals I considered friends, to watch another icon of my childhood come to life on the big screen. Detective Pikachu, Sonic 1 and 2 were all leading me to this exact moment. As I walked into the theater, gently pressed down on those heavenly seats, and reclined all the way back to behold. And?
Now that was a Super Mario Brothers movie. It's that simple.
So I'm a little late. It's a catchphrase of mine. Life is never simple. Even the most mundane of tasks can quickly spiral out of control. For example, I just wanted this to be a quick video about the Super Duper Mario Brothers movie, out immediately after I saw it back in April. The next thing I know, 5 months have passed, the movie's on Blu-ray, and my brain was still bouncing back and forth about this movie like an endless game of Pong. Is the Mario movie bad or good? 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 Yes! To cut the chit chat, let's just say I've got a lot to say about this movie. But first things first. When this movie was first announced, who had any faith in it? Put your hand down, you're lying. Because why would we? I mean, why would I? What else was there to expect from the Super Mario Brothers movie produced by...
Illumination.
Wow, what a way to start off the year. Announcing that Illumination would co-produce the Mario movie, all my optimism down the drain. Come on, Nintendo, DreamWorks was right there, and instead, you chose the most play-it-safe, family-friendly, billion-dollar studio. That's why you chose them. It's safe to say, Illumination was my biggest worry going into the film. Now, I don't mean the talented artists, animators, designers, writers, composers, storyboards, etc. who work at Illumination. I mean the stupid execs or whoever that impose pulp culture songs, eye-rolling jokes, celebrity actors filling the cast, and reducing everything to the mediocre standard that Illumination has been sitting at for a decade. Granted, some of these issues are problems with Western film animation in general, but that's not gonna get Illumination off the hook. I knew Nintendo was going to be holding a gun to their head anyways, and it wasn't going to be a bad movie per se. I just feared the worst when it came to the adaptation part.
Wake up in the morning feeling like pizza.
Since that 2018 announcement, the movie would go into complete radio silence. Always lurking in the dark corners of our minds, waiting until it decides to resurface. In September 2021, Miyamoto, with that devious smile on his face, snuck into the Nintendo Direct to announce the voice cast. That was a day I will never forget, for who could have foreseen what horrors we were about to be? The trademarks of an Illumination film were creeping in.
He's so cool.
Despite some strong casting choices, I must admit, my feelings towards the movie remained mostly the same. And they stayed that way for an entire year until the first trailer was announced. This was it. No turning back.
Stomping Koopas.
I was going into it with the utmost caution because what else was there to expect from the Illumination produced Mario movie?
Open the gates!
Since that day, from that first trailer, the first second, I knew that everything was going to be alright, because the people working on this care just as much as I or any other fan did. And here we are, $1.3 billion later, and the 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's right, screw you, critics! They're kind of right. I'm going to make this clear if I haven't already. I love the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This is one of the best video game movie adaptations ever. You can fight me on that, I'm squaring up right now. Where to even start? How about what I'm looking at? Waiting those extra few months was worth it, because this is the most visually stunning video game movie to exist. I'm so glad to see Illumination step up in this regard. I love how it's not completely smooth and clean, it's immediately distinct from the rest of Illumination's films. Except for that dog, because that is an Illumination looking dog if I've ever seen one. The lighting and colors are gorgeous. Even from the first trailer, I was blown away. All the Easter eggs and attention to detail in the world and every scene is insane. I would probably catch something new on my 5th rewatch of this movie. And I must clear this up right now that this movie isn't an Easter egg hunt, nor just references the movie. It takes elements from the games and does what I like to call world building. Carts in the Rainbow Road aren't just there for people to point at and be like, oh, I know that thing! They're legit world building elements and are important to the plot. Meanwhile, Jumpman appearing is, well, a reference because he serves no significance to the rest of the film and is someone only diehard Nintendo fans are going to know. And the Easter eggs are tiny little details like the F-Zero poster in Mario's room, the fact he plays Kid Icarus on the NES, and the broken wall being the shape of the NES Mario sprite. No way, how did I not see this before? Yeah, the Mario stuff in a Mario movie aren't references. It's called a good adaptation of the source material and makes it so clear that everyone working on this movie loved Mario. Granted, the world building isn't the deepest. There's a lot to take in, the movie goes by so fast that I can feel like you're just being bombarded by references. So I completely understand why people feel this way. But I must give major props to the MVPs of this movie, the animators. And storyboarders, and designers, and environmental artists, and compositors, and lighters, and the animation. What else is there to say? It's clean, it's bouncy, and it's so satisfying to watch, especially during the action scenes. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is the cat's pajamas. The way it was animated and choreographed easily makes it my favorite action scene in the movie. It makes me wish that I too was a cat. I can't forget about the Rainbow Road chase though, that looked gorgeous. Filled with fun action, clever details, and an awesome long take that almost broke the studio. Oh, am I being selfish for wanting it to last longer? In the final battle, when Mario and Luigi started Marioing and Luigiing on Bowser like a bro attack from Mario and Luigi? They nailed these sequences. The action is the best part of the movie. If I was excluding the music from the discussion. Finally, a video game movie that incorporates music from the games into the score. I was dialing 911 in the theater because I had just witnessed a massacre with how many tracks Brian Tyler and Koji Kondo killed. Oh yeah, 911? There's been a massacre. Also, you guys gotta hear this. And of course, that song. Oh, we'll get to it after my court hearing. They just stuck their hands into a grab bag of Mario music and created a soundtrack my ears can kiss. Hearing the iconic Mario themes remixed into orchestrated masterpieces was beautiful. My ears were loving almost every single second of the movie. And the film even has its own motif that sounds right at home with the rest of the Mario music, but also helps the movie stand out, as you'll be hearing it constantly in many tracks. Overall, this soundtrack is flawless. I said flawless! Take note, Sonic 3, this is how you do it. And I don't mean slapping an MP3 of City Escape into the film, but working it into the score. All I'm saying is, Your Honor, is that if I don't hear Live and Learn, then Sonic and Shadow ain't going super. Got that?
We'll break for recess.
Yes! So the Mario movie excels from a visual and musical standpoint. But the glue that holds any movie together are the characters, and who better to start with than...
We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame.
The Super Mario Brothers, the main stars voiced by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day respectively. Let's get this out of the way. Chris Pratt
He's so cool.
actually does a good job. I know I sound depressed, but I'm actually really happy about it. I always joked about this casting because who saw this coming? But that was in jest, as I could never fully judge the voice from just a few lines of dialogue, and yeah, he does a good job. Not once throughout the film did I think, yeah, this is Chris Pratt. To me, this was just Mario. He slipped into the role really well in my mind, so I wasn't bothered by it. But man, I gotta ask, did the people making the trailers hate him or something? And on that note, Chris Pratt is overhated in general. At this point, I think people make up reasons to hate him every day. So you know what? From now on, I am 100% standing Chris Pratt and his Mario voice. Get him in the games right now, Nintendo. I retract my earlier statement. I was joking! You know, the good thing about being late to the party is that you get most of the context. Charles Martinet did not voice Mario in the movie, to the dismay of literally everyone. Instead, he voices the brother's father in a relatively small role. I would have left it at that, but with the announcement of Martinet stepping down as the voice of Mario, it means that this is his last official voice acting work for Mario. Thankfully, he's not retiring as a voice actor, and he'll still be traveling the world as a Mario ambassador, whatever that is. It just makes me wish he was given more lines and screen time, but from what we get from him, especially his last line being,
"These are my boys! Hey!"
I'm gonna go cry. It's a pretty good send-off. Thank you, Charles Martinet, for everything. Oh, and how could I forget? Charlie Day's Luigi was wonderful. He fit him like a glove.
Don't you tell nobody nothing about this, Charlie. I swear to God, we're gonna get your kneecaps, we're gonna break your neck.
Now to get back to the main plumber himself, the best thing that this film did for Mario was giving him more character. I'm not saying he was personality-less before, but he had as much depth as a 2D sprite. He was a good-hearted Italian plumber that yelled, "Yahoo!" That's all you really needed for a Mario game. But in the movie, he is a headstrong, acrobatic, skilled plumber and responsible older brother. And his most defining trait in the film is that he never gives up. If he gets knocked down, he simply gets up again. Mario is in over his head, especially in the Mushroom Kingdom after seeing how capable he was in Brooklyn. When thrown into a new world, he struggles but learns and doesn't give up even when the odds are against him. Much like... This was a stroke of genius. It fits the character perfectly because no matter the danger, Mario will always try and try again. He's an engaging protagonist. I was glad to see they gave him actual struggles, like leaving a stable paying job to pursue being a plumber, something he clearly enjoys and is good at. I mean, with a boss like Spike, I can see why they quit in the first place. Just to be mocked, discouraged, and fail at said job. He's never viewed his persistence as a good thing because of the environment around him. And while the movie doesn't completely follow through on this, I'm glad to see that Mario is not a one-note character with no flaws. Luigi, though, is the bumbling, scared, unconfident younger brother we all know and love. He relies on Mario way too much, which is demonstrated brilliantly on their way to their first job, set up to perfectly separate them and have Luigi be all alone and captured by Bowser. Also, I love how he complimented his brother while being tortured. What a bro.
Do princesses find him attractive?
They do if they have good taste!
So naturally, Luigi's arc in this film is to gain some courage to not stand behind Mario, but with him. However, Luigi largely disappears for the majority of the second act, and while he does get his moment, I wished he had more screen time building up his own agency while trapped with a nihilist basically echoing his worst fears. Because that Luma serves no other purpose beyond, haha, cute things as morbid statements, very funny. Luigi just does not do enough in this film, but we all still loved him. And the bros dynamic together was lovely, and the film hinges on it to carry the plot, as it is the main motivation for Mario, and does it ever pay off in the end.
How is this gonna be okay?
I'm telling you, nothing can hurt us as long as we're together.
I was also surprised they showed the bros' family. Granted, not all the members are important, only the father really drives the emotional conflict forward, but it was nice to see the movie expanding the Mario world in unique ways that the games never would or could. Overall, I'm very happy with the way this film portrayed and expanded upon the brothers' personality and world. Italian plumbers from Brooklyn, and they even use a Super Show theme in their commercial! Come on, how is this not a 10 out of 10 movie? But you know what they say, the heroes are only as good as the... Bowser is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. Jack Black brings his A game, delivers the best performance in the movie. His Bowser is so versatile. He can be a goofy lover turtle in one moment, and absolutely threatening King of the Koopas in the next because of his design and Jack Black's amazing voice for him. I dare say that casting Jack Black as Bowser is the best casting choice in a video game movie, hands down. Jim Carrey as Eggman is a close second though.
Make room for Daddy!
And why is the best aspect of these movies the villains? I'm not complaining, just something interesting I wanted to point out. Bowser is a thoroughly entertaining villain from beginning to end, and his main goal is brilliant. He wants to marry Peach.
Oh, what if she says no?
I felt so stupid that I didn't guess this before I saw the film. It was so obvious, and it creates great comedy and natural character motivation. Bowser would acknowledge Mario earlier in the film, not because Mario has necessarily done anything to his army, but because he is jealous of him. The possibility of Peach liking Mario threatens him so much
I'm not threatened.
that despite not meeting Mario face to face until the third act, it feels built up to naturally. The best part is that no one knows that's Bowser's plan, so when Peach faces off against him, it serves as a perfect curveball against the characters who assumed he was just an evil warlord who seeks to rule all, and that is partially true. It also reveals how selfish and childish this Bowser is. He sees Peach as a prize to be won, ignoring her feelings and forcing her into marriage. He gets jealous when anyone even looks at her, and when things go wrong, he blames everyone but himself, which is not how a healthy relationship should be or start. Hello, welcome to Couples Therapy. I'll be your unlicensed therapist for today. Although, Kamek was the one who raised him, so yeah, he was doomed from the start. The judge just wouldn't let me go. Jeez. Anyway, when I heard that Bowser would be getting his own song, I was so excited. I was hoping for something along the lines of Be Prepared mixed with World Bowser. But what we got was even better.
Peaches, 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 peaches. Ah! Oh, yeah! Oh!
It's beautiful. I've been listening to it for 5 hours. A hammy love song titled Peaches, sung by Jack Black, was everything I needed that I didn't know I wanted. The only problem is, it's too short and way too simple. So I hereby order that Bowser should get a full song in the next movie. Don't let his talents go to waste. Please and thank you. Speaking of Peaches, it's time to move on to the Mushroom Kingdom's pride and joy, Princess...
Here we go. Performance
Okay, okay, okay. He has a gun.
My third favorite character in the movie, I'm surprised too. Introduced with the DK rap. Written by Grant Kirkhope. The movie says Donkey Kong 64, but that's ridiculous. Games can't write songs, and why is it so hard just to credit people properly? You know what? Better idea. Pay him for it too. Donkey Kong starts off as an obstacle in Mario's path, before turning into a rival after being defeated, and that's when the fun begins.
You want to know why? It's mind your own business, that's why!
Donkey Kong lives up to his name in this movie because he is stubborn, a literal ass if you will, and a big showboat to boot. And I think that stubbornness works perfectly in contrasting with Mario's character. They argue all the time, leading to the funniest interactions in the film. Reminds me a lot of Sonic and Knuckles, but a bit more comedic. Their dynamic is so fun to watch, although I do fail to see how this is supposed to impact each other's character and their journey because the movie doesn't do much with that. But I love Donkey Kong, I love the Kong Kingdom and their highly advanced engineering, a bunch of grease monkeys, that's what they are. I would love to see a Donkey Kong Country show set in this same world. Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen, his performance didn't blow me away and I could tell it was him every time he laughed. Still did a good job though. And on a side note, Cranky Kong wasn't really Cranky Kong. I don't mean he's a bad character, but it's not why I envisioned him being, sounding, or acting.
We're gonna need carts.
However, I was so freaking happy when I saw Diddy Kong sounding exactly how I thought he would.
Sorry.
And of course Dixie Kong, Chunky Kong, heck even Swanky Kong was back. And he dives to the lyrical masterpiece Take On Me. Let's move on to Peach. I enjoyed Peach as a character in this movie. The big hoopla around her before release was that she would be a Mary Sue. Now, when it comes to hearing this criticism of a female character, I draw a line to define the argument. Is this a legitimate critique of the character and her role in the story that actively brings it down? Or is this just misogyny? I can safely say she's not entirely a Mary Sue. She is capable, but not all the problems are solved by her. She wants to get the Kong army, but it was Mario who pushed forward and was able to grant that wish. Peach is a beacon of hope among the Toads as their princess and was raised by them, so I can believe that she is this capable and confident, although I think the film can lean a little too much into that at some points. What I do understand though is that she should have been a bit more lighthearted and bubblier. I've seen people say she's just Daisy, and that could not be farther from the truth. For one, Daisy is loud, energetic, headstrong, and a little bit clumsy, in complete contrast to Peach. I'm not denying a few traits may have been borrowed from Daisy, but they are not the same character. Anyway, just like Mario, Peach is also a human who was transported to the Mushroom Kingdom, except when she was a child. And this was when I knew the Toads were hopeless because they didn't just send her back through the pipe she came from. That's the most backstory we get for her, which does leave room for more to be done with her character in the sequel. Another aspect I liked was Mario and Peach's relationship. There's something there, but it's not overbearing. No stupid slow-mo love at first sight scene, instead an inversion of that. Peach is interested in Mario, but that's because he's the only other human she's seen in her entire life, and through that, a friendship is born. She's also the first character ever to compliment his never give up attitude. From Mario's view, he's been constantly told that that's not a good thing. Sure, he is encouraged by his mother, but that's his mom. Of course she would say that. This line wouldn't feel genuine if it came from anyone else but Peach. Someone who he respects, but also respects him. Ultimately, I think this movie leaves their relationship open to either grow in the next movie, or just stay friends and both would be believable. Plus, this means when Peach gets kidnapped, the bros will have more of an emotional reason to save her, and she can have her own B-plot and do stuff when she's captured like in Paper Mario. And before I forget, Anna Taylor-Joy did a good job. Thumbs up.
Shut up!
Finally, Keegan-Michael Key's Toad is useless! Bro thinks he's on the team. I enjoyed his character, however, he served nothing towards the film's plot. The most he does is get Mario into the castle. Other than that, he was just kind of there. I really thought Toad was going to be that guy, you know. Now don't get me wrong, he was a fun guy, but not that guy. The underdog, the one to get the team out of dangerous situations, the trickster. When he's first introduced, you can hear the Captain Toad theme in the background, insinuating that he's him, but he's not!
You're a fake and a fraud!
I mean, compared to the other Toads, he seems much more capable and resourceful. He gets Mario into the castle, he joins the adventure, he fears nothing. So, if I was going to make a change, during the wedding, have Toad be the one to slip the ice flower to Peach, and more importantly, have him be that guy, all Gandalf-like, leading a Toad army, becoming Captain Toad. A moment that could add a whole lot to his character and make him more important to the plot. Only he could convince the other Toads to help because of his experience. If Mario asked, it wouldn't work because they have no idea who he is.
Who's he?
Toad, on the other hand, can establish a goal with saving Princess Peach, whom they already worship, and lead the Toads into battle. But these are just flimsy suggestions on how they could have made a character more relevant with more screen time. And that relates to the greatest flaw in this film. There's no Toadsworth! There's an old Toad in a few scenes, but it's not him! What'd you do to him, Nintendo? Is he dead? Free him! Okay. The real problem is the pacing. This isn't some grand revelation or anything. Everyone who's watched this movie came to the same conclusion. It's too short and goes by way too fast. An extra 20 to 30 minutes could have done wonders for this film, because as is, there's way too much to pack into an hour and 20. Yeah, the beginning is fast-paced, but it establishes the necessary plot points, characters, and their motivations, getting us familiar with the brothers and their dynamic before separating them as they enter a new world.
Ooh, isekai.
But as soon as Mario reaches Peach's castle, the movie steps on the gas and doesn't let up. Watch out, you're going to crash! The war room scene. I can't believe I said those words. Where Peach is introduced doesn't feel natural. This isn't a conversation. This is the film explaining the plot to me. Bowser's on his way to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom, but the princess will protect her toads no matter what, by obtaining the Kong army. It's like they cut out all the actual dialogue just to force across the exposition in a minute flat. And for an introduction scene for Peach? Just makes her sound boring. And where was Toadsworth? Again, what'd you do to him, Nintendo? I need answers! And that's just one of the many scenes that go by too fast. The journey to get the Kong army is just a montage. And every conversation in this movie, I swear, is either too short or gets interrupted. Mario having a genuine conversation with Peach where she explains her backstory? Oops, sorry, we only got a minute or else the children will be bored. I feel like I have to pause the movie halfway through and give it CPR so it can breathe. Breathe, dang it! The editing isn't character-based, but plot-based, always quickly moving on to the next big action scene, and to be fair, when those action scenes hit, they hit hard. I already sung the praises for both Mario vs. Donkey Kong and the Rainbow Road Chase, but it gives the feeling that this movie is style over substance because the substance isn't given the time to breathe. And the one scene that encapsulates this problem the most is the eel scene. After being blue-shelled by the biggest hater in existence, seriously, what was that guy's problem? Losing the Kong army and Peach being forced into marriage, both Mario and Donkey Kong are stuck, all alone, while being slowly digested in the belly of a giant eel. This would probably have been my favorite scene in the film. Just two characters who've done nothing but childishly argue with each other ever since they met, stuck in an eel together with no way out, forcing them to talk. You don't know me, but I live for this kind of stuff. It reminds me of a very similar scene in Sonic 2, where both Knuckles and Sonic are stranded and must reconcile after saving one another, completing each other's arcs before the final fight. It's also my favorite scene in that film. Yeah, Sonic going super was mind-blowing, but two characters working out their differences was way more satisfying. It lasts 52 seconds before Tails flies in and undercuts all tension of getting off the island. Weirdly, a similar problem to this scene, where Mario and Donkey Kong must come to terms with each other before they can escape and head into the third act with a clear mind. But it too only does just enough so I can rush along to the next big action scene. Woo woo! Ice Peach baby! Fire Donkey Kong and Tanuki Mario, let's go! All aboard! Now, I don't think they should have made up and been best buddies. Their dynamic works best when they are bickering and fighting with each other, and I'm glad that stays. However, I struggle to find a purpose for the scene beyond just separating the characters before the final act, and introducing Donkey Kong's own insecurities. I don't feel like they grow from this in a natural way because, well, they don't actually grow from this at all. And the scene lasts, and I kid you not, a minute and 20 seconds. And that includes the escape from the eel. If any scene needed time to breathe, this was it. It's our hero's lowest point. But instead of coming to terms with any flaws or change in perspective, it's just a few quick funny jokes with some more bickering and fighting until they find a solution. However, I do find it difficult for the scene to have hit as hard as the Knuckles and Sonic one, because Donkey Kong was only introduced 20 minutes ago, compared to the rivalry Sonic and Knuckles shared throughout that film. So instead, what this scene should focus on is what it can do for Mario, our main character. Donkey Kong serves as a perfect foil to Mario because of his stubbornness and rivalry. When Donkey Kong says his father sees him as a joke, Mario genuinely tries to relate to him, in which Donkey Kong so eloquently fires back with,
Your dad's right!
comedy gold. A perfectly in-character response, pushing Mario down. What this scene should do for Mario is make him come to terms with the constant belittlement he's faced at home and even here. because he was the one who left a well-paying job to follow his dreams and brought his super reliant younger brother along with him. He was the one who wanted to save Brooklyn, which is how Luigi got separated, and throughout the film, he's barely been able to get things right and failed over and over and over again. And just when things started to look good, belly of an eel. Mario should hit his lowest point here, as he worries that this is all his fault for wanting to be a hero. But instead, maybe he is what they say he is. A joke. A bad joke who dragged his own brother into unknown danger because of himself. Donkey Kong, being the stubborn ape that he is, should be pushing Mario to get out of his slump, incidentally or not. All of this can be accomplished with comedy and sincerity, because it's built on believable character dynamics of two stubborn idiots stuck in the room together with only one way out. And they almost get there. Mario does blame himself. The problem is, Mario doesn't have an arc in this movie! Or at least, a fully realized one. Who he is at the beginning is largely the same at the end, and that's not a bad thing. He's a man on a mission to save his brother. Having most of his conflict be him pushing back against those telling him to give up is fine. In fact, it sounds good. He doesn't have to change who he is. Instead, his perspective on himself does. And we do get that, bits and pieces of it here and there, but the movie isn't interested in exploring that because of the breakneck pacing. Mario doesn't have a full hero's journey, and it frustrates me to no end because of how literal the movie portrays it. Allow me to explain. The hero monomyth, developed by Joseph Campbell in his book A Hero with a Thousand Faces, is a classic storytelling narrative used in many movies from Star Wars to Spider-Verse. Normally called the hero's journey, and regardless of the many changes and criticisms towards it, just looking at this side by side with the Mario movie, it's so literal. Leaving the gnome world, the helper, the mentor, challenges and tribulations, and the abyss where Mario is oh so conveniently at the bottom of the ocean! Or what I thought was the abyss, but since no character work is actually accomplished here, so Mario's growth is effectively paused for the majority of the third act. It's all action, plot, and the conclusion of a minor character arc set up 5 minutes ago. Oh yeah, when the dry bone says, drama, at that point I was more dead inside than it was, and no, it did not hurt any less the second time around. When Mario does save Luigi though, it's a wonderful moment, but I don't feel like either of them have grown that much from the adventure. The payoff does come just a little bit later, after Bowser throws a jealous tantrum and fires a nuke at the Mushroom Kingdom. So Mario, as a true hero, redirects the bonsai bill into the pipe that brought him here. Do you think he was aware that might have, nuked Brooklyn?
What the fuck?
This creates a chain reaction, dragging everyone into the climactic battle in Brooklyn. Now here, an hour and 17 minutes into the film with less than 10 left, I swear less than 5 before the actual credits start playing, we have the conclusion of Mario's arc. After getting the ever-living daylights knocked out of him by Bowser, he panics and hides, completely defeated. Finally, the movie slows down and allows Mario to reflect on his actions and himself, coming full circle using the commercial from the beginning of the movie as encouragement, to remind him of who he is and what he's fighting for. And Mario doesn't give up.
Let's go. Hey! Leave him alone!
You just don't know when to quit.
Yeah, I've been told that before.
Dang it. He's so cool. That moment was the transformation. It was the turning point for his character. But it's undercooked. Never mind that the movie ends in less than 10 minutes, how about the fact that barely anything in the second or third act adds to Mario's character, or barely even focuses on it? Again, the eel scene really could have helped develop Mario's journey further, or when he reunites with Luigi. The seeds were planted, like when Bowser says he doesn't know when to quit. It's the exact same thing Peach said to him earlier, word for word. However, what could have been a simple yet enjoyable arc is suffocated by the runtime. Forget Luigi has a more realized character arc of gaining courage, and he's shafted for the entire second act. But of course, Why care? It's a Mario movie. The games are about as deep as a kiddie pool, so why expect the movie to be any different? Look, I wasn't expecting a storytelling masterpiece or anything, but this is still a film, a visual medium used to tell stories, and to diminish that as a defense for or attack against the movie is incredibly dumb and insulting to the people who made it. Saying it doesn't matter is like saying that gameplay doesn't matter in a video game. Films are used to tell stories, and people have the right to criticize when that story isn't told well. And I criticize this movie's pacing and writing choices because I care, not because I think it's a stupid dumb video game movie for children made by $2 billion companies in the event of making billions of dollars, even though it is. Everything here worked for me. The characters, their dynamics, motivations, they had all the pieces in place, but they put them together too fast. It's because I can clearly see all the love put into the film in every aspect of it is why I criticize it. It's why I care when the music, that has so much love and attention put into it, is replaced by pop culture garbage that elicits no feeling whatsoever. 6 licensed songs were put into the movie and only 3 of them fit the scenes they were in. AC/DC's Thunderstruck for Mario Kart? Mr. Blue Sky barely got to be played before it was over. And seriously, Take On Me? Over Donkey Kong? Take on Kong?
No!
I am nettled. These did not need to be here. I would love to have seen the meeting of convincing Miyamoto and Koji Kondo that these songs needed to be included. But apparently, by Miyamoto's own words, they were included to give a brief vocal levity in a soundtrack filled with instruments, because Mario doesn't have any music like that. Except when it does. And originally, they were going to replace the Superstar theme with Val Halen's Jump. And if that happened, my soul would have risen out of the lifeless husk that was my body because they would have butchered the scene more than Thanksgiving turkey. Brian Tyler had to fight to keep it in, and thankfully, he won. He won. And thus, my soul returned to my lifeless body, as I was immediately injected with dopamine from head to toe through my eyes and ears, as the magical euphoria of Tyler's Superstar theme blasted in the theaters over the complete triumph of the Mario Brothers. I had the stupidest childlike grin across my face every time. No matter how many problems I had with the music choices, writing, pacing, or even the super abrupt ending, like do toads even need plumbing? And no, it's over. The Super Mario Bros. Movie brings me back in with the loving embrace of the series I grew up with, no matter what form I entered it from. The Superstar Show, the games, 2D or 3D. This was a movie made by fans, for fans. Even though the movie is far away from perfect, I still love it. And honestly, I kind of just want to leave it at that. It's funny, my main problem with the movie is that I wanted more of it. And that I will get. What, it's grossed over $1 billion and is the second highest grossing movie of 2023. A sequel is 10 billion% happening. And since the first film has done all the heavy lifting of establishing the characters and world, that means the excellent team at Illumination can go crazy. Just no licensed songs, please, and give it an actual runtime. That's all I request. If they expand on the world they built with new characters, new power-ups, a better story, and learn from the criticisms and take risks, if they do that, then I think we could get a truly great Mario movie.